everybody, today let's talk about enrolled nurses in Australia and their pathway to permanent residency. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tracy Chan and I'm the principal lawyer at Mason Chan Law Group. I'll drop a contact link below if you want to get in contact with myself or one of our fabulous lawyers or agents. Our lawyers and agents are based in most states in Australia. So Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, you name it, we have offices in every state. We are 100% remote though. So most of the time our clients contact us through Zoom, phone call and emails, which is how a lot of companies do it these days. So I just want to say enrolled nurses. It has been a very in-demand occupation for permanent residency, as you call it, in Australia. Now, first of all, enrolled nurses is different to registered nurses in Australia. The qualification is different and the job duties are very, very different. They do work in similar settings though. So hospitals, aged care homes, and for different clinics. There is some differences between the job roles, but nevertheless, both occupations are very much in demand in Australia. You may have recently heard that enrolled nurses have been invited for PR, invited for PR. What they mean is that they have been invited to apply for the 190 visa. Recently, we had an invitation round for New South Wales and Victoria for the 190, so people were invited to apply for the 190 visa. And one of the occupations that were invited was enrolled nurses. So today, I just want to talk a little bit about the requirements and how you go about, applying. One of the things to remember is that this occupation is on the short-term occupation list. So if you want to apply for permanent residency in Australia, and if it's skilled visa, you can only apply under the 190 or the 491. Enrolled nurses cannot apply to be invited under the 189 visa because it's not available on that occupation list. So something to be very careful of. But 190 and 189, they're both PRs, so there's no difference, so that's great. So I want to talk about just Australian qualified enrolled nurses. For overseas, it's a little bit different. And I speak to some of my colleagues and clients, for example, in the Philippines, and they said they don't really have that overseas, it's just nurses essentially. Maybe it's an Australian thing, Australia is very strict with that kind of stuff. So if you want to become an enrolled nurse in Australia, you have to study a minimum of diploma. It does have to be one of the accredited courses. So if you are enrolling in this, make sure you speak with your agent or counselor and make sure it's an accredited course. Usually these courses will be 18 to 24 months. They shouldn't be any shorter. Well, I'm not aware of any courses that are shorter. I had a client who completed a 12 months of diploma of enrolled nursing, only to find out that it wasn't accredited. So she couldn't apply for APRA, then apply for a skills assessment, and then apply for, permanent residency. Anyway, that's all sorted now, but that's just an example. So first of all, to even be eligible, you need to have the relevant qualification. Now, usually for diploma of nursing, just check what the prerequisite requirements are. There may be certain subjects you may have studied, and there is English requirements as well. So make sure you chat to your agent or counselor in relation to that. And then you'll move on to study a diploma of nursing. Again, most of these courses are 18 to 24 months. Now, the trick here is it depends on what visa you study on. So sometimes people study on student visa, some people study on their 485 temporary grad visa. They're all fine. You just need to plan forward. So if you've studied an 18-month course and you are in Australia and you want to apply for permanent residency after, everything takes time. Skills assessment, English, everything takes time to do before you can even lodge the application. So if you've just come to Australia and studied an 18-month course, you may not be eligible for the graduate visa, the 485. So then you need another visa to stay in Australia while you get all this stuff sorted to apply for permanent residency. So you may need to apply for another student visa. So that's just something to be aware of. Anyway, we won't talk about that today, but so let's say, for example, you've completed the qualification, then you need to apply for APRA. And if you have the right accredited qualification, you'll be able to apply for a registration with APRA. Using that, you will then need to apply for a skills assessment with ANMAC. I'll drop all these links below so you can have a look at it. You apply for the skills assessment with ANMAC, and that is a document you need to apply for, your 491 or 190 here in Australia. The reason why it's so popular and people like it and all of that is because once you study the right course, when you graduate, you are eligible for a skills assessment, just like accounting, just like Bachelor of Nursing. That's why this course is super popular and a lot of people are recommending it. And obviously it's a diploma, so it's not as long as a bachelor or a master's degree. Cost-wise, there's obviously a big difference as well. So once you get your positive skills assessment, you need to meet the minimum English requirements. Now, if you're a nurse in Australia, you already meet the minimum English requirements because you can't study it unless you have proficient English, which is 7 each. Now, if you're applying to be invited for the 491 or 190 visa, that's fine. You can apply with a proficient English. But I guess what we always recommend our clients is if you want to be invited, faster and just, go through the process quicker, then obviously the higher points you have, the better. And as I've mentioned, it's only eligible for the 190 and 491. So you definitely need to meet the state requirements. And the states 100%, whether they require you to have work experience or not, they will prefer the applicants to be working as an enrolled nurse when they apply. So if you're in Victoria, when you apply, you should be working as an enrolled nurse. If you're in New South Wales and you want to apply, you should be working as an enrolled nurse. I think it would definitely increase your chances for being invited for a 491 or a 190 visa. So for this one, because it's only eligible under 190 or 491 stream, other than your expression of interest, you need to look to the state requirements and check what the requirements are there. So if you're in South Australia, a lot of people have done Diploma of Nursing in South Australia. Check what the South Australian requirements are. Same thing with New South Wales, same thing with Victoria. Just double check those requirements there. Now, if you are invited for the 190 visa, that's awesome. As long as you filled out your information correctly on the expression of interest, registration of interest, you should get the invitation to apply for the 190. You'll lodge your visa and you just gotta wait for the visa grant then. It's only just come up in the last couple of years. I think, 2020, 2021, it was a little bit unheard of for enrolled nurses to be invited for the 190 visa. However, this year, there's been a lot more invitations. Now, same for New South Wales, you'll lodge your expression of interest and you have to wait to be invited. If you receive that pre-invitation link, you'll lodge your nomination, and as long as you filled in your expression of interest, everything correctly, you should be nominated. But when you go to submit your visa, just because the state have approved it does not mean the department's going to approve it. The department conduct their own checks. So you need to make sure that everything is valid and correct at the time of application. Look, I don't think 189 and 190 are taking long these days. Some applications are taking up to a year, but for our recent invitations and lodgements, like these grants, permanent residency grants, are coming through in like 3-4 months, sometimes even shorter depending on the occupation. For our registered nurses, which is different to enrolled nurses, they are getting their grants in like 1 month, 2 months. It is crazy. So it's something for you to consider. So if you're interested in studying these courses, just a few things to be aware of: what visa you're going to be studying on, how you're going to plan out your time after. Now, I don't mention this in other videos because you've done a Bachelor of Nursing or you do a Bachelor of Teaching. Generally speaking, you'll be eligible for a post-study work visa, the 485, because you meet the Australian study requirements. But Diploma of Nursing, you've got to be very careful because some courses may be over 92 weeks of study, which is the requirement for the Australian study requirement. Some I think are like 72 weeks or something. So you'll probably need to apply for another student visa to study something else while you get all these things in motion and start applying. Now, once you've completed your Diploma of Enrolled Nursing, a lot of people do move on to Bachelor of Nursing because then you become a registered nurse. It's obviously different. It's a diploma versus a bachelor, different for migration purposes, different for a career outcome as well. A lot of our clients who start off being enrolled nurses, they definitely move on to complete their Bachelor of Nursing and become registered nurses. It's just completely different. However, in Australia, Diploma of Nurses still have very good career outcomes. There's a lot of different options for them as well, especially if they're working in different settings, other than a hospital. Now, I just wanted to also mention that I have released my mini courses on courses.tracymigration.com.au. I'll drop a link below so you guys can go check it out. We have some free courses there where you can learn about migration, some workshops where you can learn step by step about how to lodge certain applications or information you need to know. Again, please use this as a general guide. Everybody's situation is unique and different, and everybody has different facts that they may need to consider for the application. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with people who need it. Now, if you have any topics you want me to talk about, drop it in the comments below and I will do my best to make videos surrounding those topics. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.